You know what we haven't talked about in a bit?
Underpants.
No, 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 no. We'll talk about that another time. Off mic. Um, no, no, no. We're talking about Crash Bandicoot because quite a lot's happened with him recently.
Yeah, hey, if we're not going to talk about Sonic, we're going to talk about Crash Bandicoot. We're not going to talk
Yeah,
about either of those. It's Doctor Who,
yeah. You know our games.
pretty
Uh,
much.
yeah, but yeah, Crash Bandicoot N.Sane Trilogy still set to come out 30th of June, and a lot more news has popped out since then.
Mm. Thanks to crashynews.wordpress.com.
Yeah, thank you. Plug. But yeah, I mean, the main stuff that we got in the minute is more reveals of levels. We've got playthroughs of some of the levels, reveals of characters. We've got a new box art, particularly because a lot of people didn't. Again, a lot of people assumed the cover art we got, the temp one, was it going
Yeah,
to be
the one with looks like put your hands up. Wah!
it's yeah, the supposed to be the starting screen of Crash one. Yeah, that wasn't going to last to the very end.
Yeah,
So
this one looks good. It's like all original like artwork rather than in-game animation.
yeah, so at least they've done that, and I had a feeling they would.
Mm.
And yeah, they've been. I think the other big thing that happened was, of course, there was the Crash Idol hashtag thing they did a while back, which is basically, do an idle animation for us, and if we like it, we'll put it in the game. Which I actually did try it, and my entry was sneeze and womp. Pretty simple. I do a big take of a sneeze, and when I sneeze, I put an apple in my mouth. I got an apple in my hand. Sorry.
Yeah,
Um, which again, some people liked it. Didn't win. Instead, what we got is Crash sort of playing volleyball with Aku Aku, which, if I'm honest, partly I all right, bit in this, but I will say it is a little bit similar to the original one where he pulls out the Wumpa fruit, throws it up in the air, and then waits for it to splat on his head. I will say that, but whatever, it looks good.
mm. You're bitter, aren't you?
Well, this is me trying to be civilized bitter, because you don't want to see me,
Yeah. And the box art looks pretty. I like the box art, but
yeah.
also is First for Figures, who we all know has made a lot of pretty excellent looking Sonic figurines as well as other video game licenses.
Zelda, Metroid, Okami, even Worms at one point.
Yeah. Now they're going to work on a Spyro and Crash Bandicoot figurine.
Yeah.
So yeah, this one looks like the kind of like the end of the Crash Bash dance.
Well, okay, what we know of it so far is that the two statues we're getting, and actually, it was interesting because particularly First Figures did come out to fans saying, "What would you like this to be?" So if you go on like the Crash forums, like the Crash Bandicoot board.net, whatever, they've been asking like, "What do you think? Should it be like this? Should it be like that?" And a lot of them, again, it's literally First Figures have been very heavily involved. Like, okay, we'll change it to this and that. In fact, what we've gotten so far from just basic early images is probably going to be the famous, ending of the Crash dance, and turning around with a goofy face and just refining that, which I felt like if you're going to pick a pose for a statue of Crash, I probably would go with that one.
Yeah, all the cover art of the year of the Crash Bandicoot Warped.
Yeah, I mean, again, well, that depends if they want to do a motorcycle and Coco along
There,
with
there
it.
you can do the power loader.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Um, yeah, so there's that. But what interested me at first at this was I was curious, is this going to be like with Sonic, we're going to get a classic style and modern style? Because, like I said, they've introduced Spyro to this, and what I've seen is probably classic Spyro.
Yeah,
So,
it's kind of Spyro, and basically it looks like the slightly more refined version of the cover for Spyro 1.
yeah. And again, it's interesting that they've done this because ever since Crash was announced being a return, a lot of people have now been wondering, does this mean Spyro may come back properly?
It depends. Activision has the license, but I think with Skylanders being a lucrative business that it is, and like how many months ago was it? 6 months ago, we got the latest Imaginators with its own version of Crash.
Yeah, well, somewhere around some time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know, I think I was gonna say recently, but I realized no, it's been since last year.
Well, that's the one thing some people have pointed out is that next year is going to be Spyro's 20th anniversary. So again, I wouldn't be too surprised if they coincided both the N.Sane Trilogy and whatever funny name they're going to do with the Spyro Trilogy.
You got. I'm trying to think of a name right now. There's got Spyro the Dragon, the drag or Spyro the Dragon Chronicles.
Something like that.
There's Spyro 1, 2, and 3 in the same kind of just upscale graphics that the Crash N.Sane Trilogy has, with all like the environments being a lot more detailed, considering Spyro's technology at the time was fucking inventive.
Yeah,
Just
it was.
less details in the distance so you get much closer. Now you have just open-ended. We don't. Oh, the draw distances will be fucking beautiful.
Yeah, and it is funny because again, when Spyro came out, that was one of the first games really to try out full 3D on the PlayStation for a platformer.
A full open world game.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. And again, it would be the case of okay, with that in mind, how would you improve it or implement it in today's technology?
Well, obviously you don't change much. It's just it's
Yeah,
so many more detailed. Spyro could have a slightly different model like Crash did.
yeah,
So who knows? Like,
yeah.
yeah, I would if they do a Spyro trilogy, then great.
I think it would do. I mean, again, we have said before the fact Crash has come back, and ironically, they've done all the things that we thought they would do, either give it back to Naughty Dog, put him in Skylanders, or remake 3 games, and they've done all 3 for anyway. So
We need to stop predicting the future.
yeah, don't come to us, for God's sake, don't come to us. Um, but again, I like to think that's where they're going with this. Again, with the whole, if they're bothered to the fact that they're doing a statue lineup for about Spyro, not Skylanders Spyro, the actual Spyro that most people remember and love, then clearly there must be some talk about why don't we try and do this with him? Why don't we do a remastering of those games?
I think it's like so many times you can remaster a trilogy to a point where people are going to clamor for a Metal Gear Solid or Final Fantasy. No, wait, we already have a Final Fantasy and a Metal Gear Solid. It's called
Yeah,
Twin Snakes.
yeah. Well,
But in general, like there'll be plenty of games on the original PlayStation where people would beg for a remaster of today's technology.
yeah. I think it's because again, it's like if you're not going to go forward with it, at least try and if you're going to do anything with it, at least try and go back to what they started off with and see if people would still like it in today's tech.
I'm surprised that Sonic Team hasn't done a complete 3D generation style remaster of the original Sonic trilogy.
Exactly.
Because
So
honestly, even though it seems like a really stupid, oh, it's just Sonic 1 again, but in 2.5D, like I guarantee you it'll sell like hotcakes.
yeah, exactly. Which is hell. I'm pretty sure they're going to sell like hotcakes once these statues are done.
Which you're gonna get one.
Well, I'm gonna have to wait because one lesson I have learned from these guys is I got the Sonic statue right, and as soon as I got that, the entire lineup then burst open. Then we got Tails, Knuckles, Metal Sonic, Super Sonic, Modern Sonic, Silver, all the characters, the diorama with Tails and Sonic on the plane. So I have no idea where the hell this will go, unless it's just a one-off. It's just going to be these 2 characters, one-off of the series, or they're then going to do no, let's do variation. Let's have Cortex. Let's have Aku Aku. In fact, actually, somebody's talked about would you like a full-size Aku Aku mask with this?
Just make your own. Better treat bag, some actual organic paint and some feathers, and there you go.
Yeah, this is the question of making sure I could put it on my face and not freak everybody out to death.
No, you wear the Titans version.
No, I see what you mean. The comfy. If I want to be possessed by a witch doctor.